Welcome back. Now, according to reports, an executive bill was introduced to Kaduna State House of Assembly by the governor, Nasir El-Rufai, seeking to amend the state's religious preaching law, which was enacted back in 1984. Now, the new bill says that preachers must get a permit to preach in the state, and that permit will be for the period of the event. Now, obviously, that's for different. The preachers who preach in the state have to have their own permits, and visiting pastors also have to have permits. Also, CDs, cassettes, flash drives, and any other communication gadgets containing religious recordings from only accredited preachers may be played in the following places: houses or in transport and all the other areas. Now, what are your thoughts on this new bill? It's your view. You can call us on 070-8066-8014. You can tweet to us at TVCCONNECT. Now, first of all, we're just going to discuss what your thoughts on it. But I think Jumoke would like to just break down what the laws are. Or I have
yes.
It, yeah.
Now, before we go into this bill 2016, is trying to just improve on the regulation of religious preaching edicts number 7 of 1984,
sure,
which was promulgated by then military governor of Kaduna State, Air Commodore Usman Muazu. Now, in 1987, military governor of Kaduna State, Colonel Abubakar Umar, expunged the option of fine. Then, you were, if you weren't licensed to preach, you preached, you were liable to a 2-year imprisonment or fine. In 1987, the fine was removed. Again, in 1996, this bill was also, there was a military administrator who also edicted the bill from that your license does not exceed 6 months. Before, the license was 1 year. Anyways, this current bill, because of apart from the northeast of Yobe, Borno, Kaduna is actually a very religiously hot state. And there are many preachers who come from outside or within the state who just preach using all sorts of insightful words. Now, the governor of Kaduna State, El-Rufai, was wondering, don't we have a law that governs things like this? And he heard about the 1984 edict. In trying to make it effective was why he now passed this bill with 15 sections to the Kaduna State House of Assembly.
Now, this bill is supposed to curb religious extremism and hate speech. Now, who defines what religious extremism is?
Mariah, if you let me break down the 15 sections into, and I'll take it quickly. Sections 1 and 2 of the bill provides for the citation and commencement clauses. Section 3 is recognizes Islam and Christianity as the 2 major religions in Kaduna State. Section 5, I'll rush it. Section 5 of the bill mandates that there will be 2 committees, one, Jamaatul Nasir Islam and the Christian Association of Nigeria, to issue licenses.
Let me abbreviate it because I have it in five different ways.
Okay.
The first one, which is what you're about to say. Now, to get a permit,
yes,
3 committees decide, really.
Yes.
You have the Jamaatul Islam, you have the KAN. The 3rd committee is set up by the governor, which is where people are having issues with that. If the governor is one setting up this 3rd group, who actually are the one that will issue the license, how biased would they be? Because they're likely to be either Muslims or they are the ones that, based on his own sentiment anyway. So that's one issue.
And they're also supposed to have policemen in that 3rd committee.
Even if they will be mixed.
Even if they will be mixed, they realize that if mixed, but they're going to be, they'll be selected appointed by the governor. So obviously their loyalty to be him. Thirdly, which from going what you're saying, religious leaders must be licensed to preach. Not just religious leaders, visiting
Visiting
so
preachers.
That means that if you are here to visit for only 2 days, you're only licensed to preach 2 days.
Yes.
After that 2 days, you can't preach again.
Yes.
Thirdly, playing of CDs in public places are bad. CDs of accredited preachers. Now the problem with that is that if I like Miles Monroe, you can't play it in Kaduna State. Only accredited preachers can be allowed.
In their churches, in their mosque, in their houses, in the porch of their house, but you can't put out loudspeaker anywhere.
If it was that, I can only play religious music, whatever, within my house, is different. This one says you can only play from those who are accredited. So that means, so it's either like we have to get a whole list of pastors to be accredited so they can play their videos. I'm not sure how that's
But
going to
even
happen.
the accredited ones, you can't play it on the streets or
Yes,
using loudspeakers.
exactly. And finally, the term of 2 years and or 200,000 naira. Let me collect someone.
Let me begin by saying that religion is a very sensitive issue in Nigeria, particularly in Kaduna State. But again, you see, the 1984 law was brought about because of the Maitasine uprising.
Riots.
The one that followed it in, I think, 87 or 89
87.
was also mandated by the Kafanchan crisis. But you see, as of today, first and foremost, there is no immediate crisis that is mandating this law from out of the blues. That's my first concern.
That's what you think of.
My first concern.
Okay.
Number two is the fact that, you see, an attempt, if what we want to curb is the effect of what preachers say, why are we not going after what preachers are saying? Why are we after the preachers themselves? I am not in any way giving approval for people who go to either radicalize or to Islamize or to Christianize or whatever the case is. You see, but the point to be made is that the Nigerian Constitution itself, I think in section 38, guarantees freedom of thought,
yes,
of expression, and of religion. There are sections of this law, as I've seen them, that are clear infringements, that clearly infringe on our freedom. There is no way a preacher should receive license from government before he can preach what he wants to preach. It is a... I believe that it goes against the grain of both Christianity and Islam. And that is why we have seen that, because the law was even passed without consultation, I would have expected that a religious...
A Democrat.
I think Khan was involved.
I'm coming, please. For religion, that is a very thorny issue. And which, of course, Christians want peace, Muslims also want peace. I would have expected that the governor would have called both parties to say, look, we both want a common solution. Let us fine-tune a law that can... Why was the law, why did the law get to second reading before it even became public? Our reporter did the story on the fact both the JNI and CAN are opposed to it. They are calling for caution.
Now, another thing that when you said that is against our own even Christian religion, because the Bible in Matthew 28 says we should go out to the world and preach.
To every creature.
Every Christian is a preacher, really. So is he saying that I can't preach, I can't even share the word of God to anybody in Kaduna State? I have to be licensed? That is against my own constitution in the Bible. Anyway.
Let me tell you something. Christians, we have been practicing religion for so many years.
Okay.
And we have been able to find one kind of smart way to interpret the Bible in the way that suits us. That is why you see the same Christians, but different denominations and denominations doing different things. Now, on a lighter note, Kaduna State Governor has replied. There was a pastor that came out to say he will go and die, blah, 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 if he does not revoke it. He has replied the man on a lighter note, because I read it yesterday online, that please, you should tell him the dates so that he will prepare for his death. But the truth is, the role of Christians, I don't know about the Muslims, the role of Christianity is to impact our community. I think this law, for me, just tells me how much Christians we have failed in that duty. Because if you go back in history, Daniel in the Bible went through 4 governments. They were always calling him. If these people have made as much impact on the community, I don't think the governor will be finding a way to curb their nuisance.
What would be the
I think the governor would rather invite them to say, please, there's a problem here, and I think you're the only one that can give me solutions. Can we sit down and deliberate on how we can move forward? So this law only tells me how much us Christians, we have failed in whatever we're supposed to do. And that scripture that you quoted, go into the world and preach the gospel. If you go to the Greek history of that scripture, the world was the cosmos. That is the systems, governing systems. You go to a system and you are supposed to influence that system. Educational system, the healthcare system, that is what we are meant to do. And that is why you see Christians when they come into church.
Can I ask you a question?
Hold on. When they come into church, a Christian's attitude in church is different from when they are outside of the church. Because now we have successfully, let me finish. We have successfully transformed to say that it is inside a church building that we are, that God's presence is there.
Let me take a call from Kunle. Kunle, are you there from IKORODU?
I'm
Sorry for keeping you for so long. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to make a little contribution.
Yes.
You see, sincerely, I don't know why we Nigerians, we don't like respecting those in authority. sincerely, what El-Rufai said, there's no big deal there.
Thank you.
Let me, on a serious note, look at America. You see, let me start this way. The bill is even introducing. It's not bill for the Christians. It says religious bill. It does not say Islamic bill or Christianity bill. Even so, like what the lady in Lebanon said, if I asked, he said, okay, you said I'm going to die. Tell me the date. I heard it on the television when he was saying it. He said, he was telling all this congregation, if everybody did not do this, he will die. Everybody was taking it.
That's wrong.
Okay, thank you very much for KUNLE for calling. Now, there are fears. I'll let you come in, Cyril. There are fears that this is how the conflict between the Israeli and Palestinians started. When you start making, because right now, even other governors, according to El-Rufai, are asking for this bill and they want to implement it. Right. Now, if you keep pushing, okay, those are the Christians. This is an Islamic state. That's the Christian.
No, this bill you know ACCRA.
I have a question for Uwa.
Okay, what's the question?
Just let me ask it.
Yes.
She is saying that if Christians were, because like the caller said, this before they were martyred.
Bam.
You see, this is the point.
I'll let you go on that. Let me bring Chris in. I have to bring him. It's time for it. Because you made a very valid point, but let me bring in Chris. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Prof is in the building. Welcome back. We have Prof in the building.
My pleasure to be here.
Hey. So you've heard Uwa, you've heard Mura, you've heard Jumoke, you've heard Cyril.
And his
is that with the Paul and Silas matter? Do you want to jump in or where do you want to?
No, first I want to say that matters of religion are almost always contentious. People would tend towards that part that suits their sentiments, but truth will always be truth. And my take on this is simply that I am on all fours with Uwa's position. I'm on all fours with Governor El-Rufai. I'm on all fours with everything that will regulate sane society. And I say that advisedly. This law has been there. It came into force in 1984 after the Mighty Synod. And then there was cause to reinforce it when the Zango cutoff problem and the likes came on. And as you and I talk, fundamentally, I want my brother to understand that just a few weeks ago, there was a situation that called for it. And for a reinforcement, if you like, of it. And that's the shite problem. And for my Christian brothers who have sentiments and fears, I want to say first that every time they had need to bring this law, the first reason, the primary attention was Islam, was Muslims. So I think that I totally disagree with my brothers when they lampoon this bill. I totally disagree with them for three reasons. The Constitution provides for the freedom of worship in Section 38.
Freedom of association also.
Yeah, and then in Section 45 limits it to the extent that your exercise and expression of your religion should not alter my peace, should not disturb me or mess me up. And as you and I talk, it is just because Kaduna State is predominantly, if you like, Muslim, and perhaps because, predominantly, the 60-40. Don't use your sentiments. This is the truth. You know. And then, no, that's sentiments. This is the truth. And I say this again because perhaps the governor is Muslim, and so we bring these sentiments. In Lagos, churches have been closed down, and I salute Ambode for that action. Mosques have been closed down. I salute him for that action because nightclubs have been closed down. They wake you up in the morning when you want to enjoy your sleep.
Chris.
They refuse you the right to peace.
We understand that part, Chris. Can't you still regulate that in the way?
Let me say this, all over the world, because when we sentimentalize and sensationalize, we lose essence of the purpose. All over the world, in the UK, in the US, in Canada, they regulate preachers.
Soundproof walls.
And beyond regulating preachers, they license preachers.
Chris, may I interrupt you to say that I totally agree with the mindset and the intentions of Governor El-Rufai on this. But there's ample provision under the Penal Code laws of Kaduna State 1991 to penalize anybody who is doing this. Do we need a new bill which will attract sentiments that you want to run away from?
Where are the sentiments from?
The sentiments are, you are asking me to go and license. You already have a 1990, the 1984 edit has become law in 1999.
If I choose to rework the law to deal with the present situation, what's wrong with it?
But if your present situation is already covered within the law, you are not allowed by law anywhere to put loudspeakers that disturb anybody, because hold on, sir. Your freedom of expression of your religion is limited where it infringes on somebody else's freedom to privacy. So you already have laws. The question is, why do we need new laws?
Jumoke, the law is a flux. It attends to new situations and new challenges. As you and I talk, fundamentally, this bill actually deals more with Islam than with Christianity.
I'm not even talking about who it deals with.
No, that's the truth.
Yes.
Islam, somebody could just wake up tomorrow and say he's an imam without going through
process.
And then start up, and that's El-Rufai's major concern.
Yes.
As you and I talk, there's a group coming up that a lady said she hears from Prophet Muhammad, and then people are gathering to.
Yes.
That was how Boko Haram started. That was how. And so, if the governor, in his wisdom, decides to regulate worship, bearing in mind the present realities, what is wrong with amending the laws?
Again, the issue with the law is that it leaves a lot of loopholes.
Yes.
Where?
That will enable government to become draconian.
Bam.
When you say that you're going to issue
Constitution.
licenses, on what criteria or not criteria are you going to issue the licenses? The lady says she has from Prophet Muhammad. Okay, so the governor says I'm not going to give you a license based on what?
Let me tell you how government.
no,
Let me tell you how government will regulate.
Let me give you
Let me tell you how government will
from
regulate.
Korea.
Let me tell
Let's
you how
highlight some of
government
the
will
loopholes.
regulate.
I'll let you, I want to highlight a few of the loopholes so you can address everything together.
Who calls them? Why do you think they're loopholes?
They are legal loopholes.
For example,
Because
What makes
the law
them legal
does
loopholes?
let me hang in there. Let me
What
explain
makes
what the
them legal
loopholes are.
loopholes?
Number one, if you are not given a license, who do you appeal to? Who do you go to? These three
You
committees.
appeal to KAN. You appeal to
No,
government.
The governor has the highest.
There are three committees. The KAN,
He's the chief
Jamaatu
security
Islam,
officer
and the
of the
third
state.
committee.
Mariah.
I'm asking you a question. If I don't get licensed, who do I go to? Number one. If I put now, which court would you take me as a Christian to? Is it Sharia court? Is it a customary court? That's number two. Number three, they said no public places. For example, they are doing burial, lying in state, and we are preaching that please, give your life to Christ. We are in a gathering, it's lying in state. We're not in church. We're in a small field where we're doing lying in state.
Without loudspeaker.
Without loudspeaker. We're just saying, okay, please give your life to Christ. This person is dead, though. Now, that kind of situation, do I get arrested because I'm being preached and I'm preaching in public? So those are the loopholes. These laws.
You can't feel them.
Now let me close.
Have you read the law?
Yes, I have.
I have read the law.
And then let me tell you, I have read the law.
Yes.
And like I said, it's sensationalism and sentimentalizing issues that border on how we understand it. I have read the law with an open mind, and I know that nothing in the law precludes you from holding funeral service.
It says public
Nothing
places.
in the law.
It says public places.
Where do you hold? Where do you hold? Because let me give you fundamental. I'm a lawyer by God's grace, and I think that I understand some of those things. Now, if you have, before you go to the governor or to the state to ask for license, you perhaps get clearance from KAN.
Yes.
KAN authenticates you, gives credibility.
But the governor has the final order.
Oh my God. You see, this sensationalism. KAN, when you go to CSC decides whether it registers you or not.
Thank you.
When,
Some churches don't want to be members of CSC.
Can I go?
What happens to such people?
CSC is Corporate Affairs Commission. That's for your companies. Just wait. If you want to be a lawyer, the Council of Legal Education and
Would
the
have
body
to
of benchers
endorse it.
determines whether you're fit and proper.
Thank you.
The arguments as to who your appeal goes to is not an issue. Wait, I'm laying fundamental practice. When you go to the medical association, the MBA, the NMA decides whether you're fit and proper.
Okay.
If they find you unfit, they drop you. You appeal to wherever you want to. Let me lay foundation because it's all about sentiments. And then every group and body in this country has accrediting organizations. And we're saying that Jumoke, do you like the fact that every day you read in the papers a reverend father rapes a 12-year-old?
No.
A pastor rapes someone?
No.
An imam rapes someone?
But
so we have
also
to regulate. We have to know those who have the right
Everybody
to preach.
does it. Just please, sorry.
Wait.
May I interrupt you so that you can answer the question properly? Now, you are, you're not a Catholic, but my people are majorly Catholics. And I know that the Catholic Church, for instance, said, I don't want to be a part of the Christian Association of Nigeria anymore for their own sentiments. The 1999,
Catholic is there, it's PFN that they're not
the
part
1999 Constitution says that Nigeria is not a religious state. This bill says that there are two major religions in Kaduna State. It means then that if, for instance, I'm a Babalawo or I'm an atheist, I'm already being prejudiced against in Kaduna State by this bill.
No, can I say this?
And that is against the 1999 Constitution. Juxtapose it.
No, can I say this? That what the bill has said is the state recognizes, fundamentally because of the major dichotomies that exist in the state. You see, when we subject issues to legal semantics, I have a problem. I look at the intention of the law. I think that the law is about sane society. It's about moving our country forward.
That's intention.
You know, what gives you the impression that your sentiments and your fears are grounded?
What's the judge going to do when you they say that take the case to a customary
the Babalawos do not use horn speakers.
You say
the Babalawos do not
take the case to
play
a customary
you will have to call. We would have to
let me take a quick break. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We're trying to reach Praise Forward. I know he was trying. He's itching to enter this conversation, so we'll try to call him. All right, stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Let me take Comrade Ayodele. Good morning, sir. Are you there?
Good morning.
Go ahead.
Well, my view on this matter is that it's a very sensitive issue, and good morning, madam. Well, my view on this matter is that it's a very sensitive issue, and people must be wary on the contribution they make, and we must try to keep tempers level for people to understand our positions on these issues. Well, the KADUNA matter, the KADUNA matter should be seen as a peculiar issue in Nigeria, and as it concerns religion. And the best we can do is to advise the lawmaker there to put a timeline to this law, that as soon as things normalize, the law can also be reviewed to suit contemporary matters and issues as they come. I was at Denmark at the time, and along the street, I saw people trying to squeeze a leaflet tract in my hand, and immediately I looked at it. It was a religious tract, and I was wondering, why was this preacher man hiding, squeezing the tract in my hand? And I was quick to look into their history. I googled a lot, and I saw that they had a similarity of issues in the past, and they tried to address it in order to make life safe for everybody. We must also understand that within the society, we have other believers there, even non-believers, and all of that.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Comrade, because Governor AMUWO is already regulating that, which is what she was saying, that it's already in the Constitution. He's already been empowered, so you know what? We don't want noise. There's a way you do it without actually changing the bill or even introducing a new bill. That's what Jumoke was trying to point at.
The only permanent thing in this world is change. The only constant thing. If you don't review things, you will just live an obsolete life. I mean, what would I call it? Now, even in heaven, because I don't know about the Islamic whatever their practices are, but even in heaven there's order. Now, I was on social media, was it last week, and I saw a report that the pastors they used, and the pictures were there on the foundations of the churches that they were building, dead human bodies. Listen, the human mind, naturally, we are vulnerable in Nigeria because of all the things that we are going through. So I think this law should not be, you should look at it that, okay, somebody is trying, in your best interest to put your interest at, as first before every other thing. Now, wait. If Governor El Rufai decides to say that, you are saying that who would they appeal to? They are supposed to have, in my own view, they are supposed to have a form of endorsement that this person is fit. This person has gone through in the Catholic this thing. Yes, you've gone through some certain steps that makes you fit to become a pastor.
I have a long distance call. I have a call from Ghana. I have to take this call from Ghana. Umar from Ghana, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Please go ahead. Then I'll let you come in.
Okay. Hello?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Okay. One, my problem is the panel is not completed because you have the religious issue. There is no Muslim there. So that's my number one problem. And my number two problem, I'm fully behind El Rufai because I don't understand Nigerians. Are you happy about what is happening in Nigeria? Every hook and hook can just stand up saying that he's preaching. That is the breeding ground of Aramu or this the Tesine, and people are, you are just killing people like that. I'm even short of words. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Umar. Let me let our guest speak at this time. Yes, please.
That my problem with most of this kind of discussion is the fact that we live in a country that what we have is so much godism, no godliness.
Thank you.
We haven't looked at how this law affects your brother and the man next door. We haven't looked at how it affects your peace and safety. I understand Jumoka's sentiments, but okay, now let's even think about the Babalawo. What about his peace? When the Muslims have their horn speakers and the Christians have their horn speakers. I think that essentially what should affect us, Allah this bill, is how we x-ray the evolution of our society and the development of this society. I care about my children, I care about your children. When religion brings so much hate and division, look at our politics. You're either talking about ethnicity or about religious differences. And I think that our society must move beyond that, because when people loot and steal their religious tendencies, they loot indiscriminate of their religion, they steal indiscriminate of their ethnicity. And I think that what should be fundamentally important here is how CAN sits up with each regulatory and accreditation process. How Jamaatul Islam sits up with this accreditation process,
so
and how they synergize with the government in ensuring that there's peace and safety in Kaduna State. That's
all right. Let me take this call from Remy and come to Cyril. Remy, are you there?
I'm here.
Please go ahead.
Please, I just want to make a contribution to what is on the ground.
Yes, go ahead.
I want to say that if El Rufai has no ulterior motive, I'm okay with the bill. But I know there's ulterior motive. When Governor El Rufai was the FCT minister, we know how he demolished churches, leaving mosques on the train. But with what is on the ground in Kaduna, I'm sure the Christian will bear the brunt.
No,
that's not true.
Thank you very much, Remy. Cyril, I'll take that one.
I was going to say that, there's a need for us to understand the fundamentals of the religious body that we're trying to regulate. He was talking about the church certifying somebody to go and preach. Again, in Christianity, as we know it, the church does not make you a preacher. What makes you a preacher is your calling. You see, and you cannot. It is Bible. If you're not under obligation. You're not under obligation. It is this misunderstanding, built on political correctness, that makes us see a bill that wants to water them and kill religious activities, and we share it into the passage. But the fact remains that, you see, a bill of this kind that the governor could afford to pass to the State Assembly in 3-second reading, there was no consultation whatsoever. What are you trying to achieve? The people that are trying to make the law for us, we don't need it. I'm trying to make it.
You're talking about evangelism.
It's antithetical.
Can I answer? Sorry.
Can I answer? No, because people are listening.
It's not about evangelism.
The governor and the deputy governor has consulted widely.
No, they didn't.
They met with several stakeholders. No, that's not true. We have seen them online. We've seen them on
that was after the outcry. The governor traveled.
The point is that whether we sentimentalize, whether we use Christian or religious sentiments to look at these things, the truth is, what is the bill meant to achieve? Safety, security,
The
and
1985
order.
law.
And I think that, so
Chris,
go
I agree
back
with
to
you.
go
Okay,
back
Chris.
to 1960 law.
Okay,
for your safety.
guys, one second. Chris, Cyril.
That we have had cause to amend
Cyril.
to reflect prevalent situations. And I do sincerely think that what the governor and the House of Assembly is about to do is profound, and other states should emulate it.
Thank you.
But
We
Chris, can I ask
need-
you a question? Do you realize that? Is it possible, right, that we can solve this safety problem you're talking about in a different way? Because the issue of ulterior motive comes to bear here. When you're thinking, you're asking for licenses. For example, yes, if we have CAN, if the government ensures that they work closely to CAN to ensure that everybody who preaches is probably monitored by CAN. There's a way you can do it to ensure, which is what is going back. There's a law already guiding us to ensure we don't have fake pastors, number one. Number two,
Nobody's
the
enforcing
issue of
that law.
noise can be regulated in such a way that you don't need this bill
They
to
have the
stop
Penal
people.
Code of Kaduna, 1991.
We can still solve the problem, but not necessarily by this new law.
Certain modifications have been made to the former laws. And I want to say that whether we sentimentalize... whether
It's
we-
not about
Can I
sentiment.
be serious?
Let me say
Please,
this.
can I say
I need to know who,
Can I ask
who
a question,
stands
sir?
in front of my
I want to
children.
answer you seriously.
I need to know who stands in front of my children to
Okay.
preach.
Thank
I
you.
need
Let's
to
take
know
some
his
tweets. Point taken.
tendencies.
We're going to take
and-
about 40
I would have
minutes.
asked you a question.
One second,
I would have
Cyril.
asked a
Let me come
question.
to Cyril.
Second,
See,
Cyril.
Just one.
you were
Let
mentioning,
her respond to what
you
she
were
said earlier.
mentioning things about preaching. We are in the 21st century. Preaching, if you truly are called by God, it is not a must that you must carry a megaphone on the street.
Nobody said that is the way to
wait
do it.
now. So there are many. I think it. Wait, let me
Look,
finish.
there are vendors.
Yes,
There are vendors
Cyril,
selling.
I think. Listen,
You made
I
a
think
point.
Christians. No,
You
let me
made your
finish.
point.
I think Christians should look at this law and be innovative. If you truly
Baba
want to
Jide
reach,
Jamal
if you
says
truly want to
on
reach the
Twitter.
minds of people, there are different ways you can preach the gospel.
Please
It mustn't
note.
be in a
Wait,
public
wait,
environment.
wait.
Please
Cyril.
note that the Muslims already have a body that's called the Supreme Military Council. They regulate the affairs in this regard.
There's no Muslim
Kuti
group
Malik
called
says
Supreme
regulating
Military.
religious
That's
practice
wrong.
is a right step in the right direction. AM Esther says, please, I feel there's an hidden intention by the governor. Uwa, how do you know Christians are not making impact? Iyawe says, because the laws are old does not make them so irrelevant that they cannot be enforced. We should cut down on similar agencies. Somebody thinks El Rufai is an extremist. Obina Ulo says, don't we have Supreme Court? Must we will for everything? Let the Supreme Court do its work.
Cyril,
There are
come.
people who carry about soap and pomade, locally made things.
Yes.
They put it on a car. There's a megaphone.
A megaphone.
And they're selling. If you put a law and say that nobody should carry such noise-making loudspeakers on the road, it will cover preachers, it will cover commercial people. But to make a law particularly targeting a group,
Yes.
when you
What
don't
group?
when you
What
don't
group?
understand
What group?
when you don't understand when you don't clearly understand
let Chris
the
have the last word
fundamentals of their
I needed to answer that person.
I was even going to ask him.
I need to answer that person.
If I have a flash,
We only have 1 minute
if I
left.
have a flash
I
drive
think-
in my car,
Yes.
and I'm listening to a preaching
Yes.
in
It's
my
in
car,
your car.
It's in your
why
car.
why
The law
does
does
the
not
law
preclude
It has to
prevent
be
it?
accredited, though. No,
Why-
no.
why does the law
That
prevent-
person you're listening to must be accredited. Chris,
Do you know why we are
Let
just
me-
touching? Why we are touching?
I have to go,
Because
Chris. Let me
religion
let
is
Chris.
a private issue.
Cyril, let me go to Chris. Chris,
Even
you
Jesus
have the
Christ
fi-
went to
Chris
school.
has the final
He
floor.
went to school before preaching. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And the
Chris.
reason why.
Well,
Let me
yes,
say
yes.
this.
There's no
that
time.
Essentially, Christianity in Islam talks about love as a summum bonum of religion. Talks about loving your neighbor as yourself. If you truly care about your neighbor, you look at this law dispassionately. If you truly love your country, you look at this law dispassionately. I am looking forward to a society where our kids can grow without hate preachings and hate speeches.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to a country where supremacist teachings, where some people tell you that Islam is greater and better than Christianity, and some Christians tell you that Jesus is the ultimate, are made issues of personal thought. I'm looking forward to a country where there's peace, brotherhood, and love, and I sincerely believe that this bill is one of those steps in the right direction. I think that the time has come for us to truly love country and love society and do less of these preachings and sentiments and move our country away
right.
from the
Thank you
jangling,
very much.
this God of poverty to the amazing
Thank you,
place
Chris.
of promise.
That's all we can take on the show. See you again tomorrow. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.